I'd like to welcome Steve Lemke and Dan Zembreski. I'd like to ask if there are any additions to the agenda. None. Any changes to the agenda order? None. So I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of January 11th, 2016.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the short minutes for the January 14th budget session?
I move we approve them as written.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
So the first matter of old business on the agenda is the compensation due to the delinquent tax collector. I think Katie sent us around something that indicates that it's, for the agreement, it is 8% of the delinquent penalties that have been collected since January 1st of 2015, when she was appointed.
Are the minutes being passed around for us to sign?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So the first payment will be to cover the amount of penalties owed for fiscal year 15, January through June 30th, 2015. The amount of money owed for fiscal year 15 is $7,669.
I'll give me for that.
And the amount of money owed for year-to-date for fiscal year 16 is $16,429.
Could you repeat those numbers, because I was
I can do
distracted signing documents.
So January 1,
January 1 through
July
June
1.
30th,
Oh,
2015, the amount was $7,668.71 to be precise.
Okay,
Year-to-date, July 1st through January 19th, the amount is $16,428.76. And I will be seeking a motion to compensate Penny in the amount of the 8% of delinquent tax penalties owed from January 1st, 2015 to the present. The schedule to be determined so that full compensation for fiscal year 2015 and fiscal year 2016 is reached by June 30th, 2016.
I think that 8% is per statute. I don't know if we need a motion on that anyway, do we?
but I think because we're doing it retroactively, I would think that we might want to have a motion on it, just
Just
because
to
we're sort
cover
of
us on that
catching up.
side. I mean, I agree with you on that 8%, that it's by statutes, but just to cover ourselves on the back
You got a
side.
hand up there if you want.
I think, sorry, Steve,
Is this money paid to an individual or is it paid to the town?
it's paid to an individual who then can decide to do what she wants to with it.
Because when I asked the question initially a few months ago about delinquent taxes and things like that, Penny came and did the presentation. Part of her presentation was clearly to say that this is the amount of money that the town will now save, because she and others in the town, at least as I understood it, that the money was being, that one of the positive sides of the delinquent tax thing being done by the staff is that that the money that will be saved will be returned to the town, not to the individual. Because I asked her, is this an inordinate amount of time or energy on your part? And she said no.
So I think you did some research into that, right? That the 8% is actually in the statute.
But the other thing is, she did say that, I think she had come to learn that it was actually, yes, an inordinate amount
Yes,
of time.
and it also has taken up a lot of Pete and Ellie's time, so.
My one concern is that we had talked about paying Ellie out of that money that would come to the town. And so now, this money is going to Penny as delinquent tax collector to disperse as she sees fit to the people who are working for her. But we've already paid Ellie, so that's my only, concern. I don't know how to figure that one out.
Yeah. Have a discussion with Penny?
Well, I mean, my other question is, if this is partially from FY15, our books are closed, right?
Mhm.
So how does that get adjusted?
We're gonna need to figure that out with the auditor. Well, I have a conversation scheduled for Friday with
Yeah.
them.
And how do we deal with this with our budget? Because now presumably going to, I mean, do we have we can pull from a capital
No,
or
the
reserve fund? Where's
The
that
money's
money?
already collected.
It's paid out of the
Penalties are
penalty.
already
Right.
collected.
And then it was booked to our revenue, right?
Yep.
So how do you mean?
I need to do
Okay.
more research on it, to be honest with you.
The statute is the 8% goes to the tax collector, delinquent tax collector.
Right.
And they can put it in their pocket and walk away with it and say nothing.
I don't think that's in dispute. And in fact, Katie sent around, I think, town meeting minutes from 1979 that reiterated that, and the town voted that way. I think the issue is there was perhaps a different understanding, mistakenly so, for FY15 and until very recently when we did some research. So I guess my question is, how do we reconcile that?
In our books.
Well, in our books, and given that we expected part of Ellie's pay to come from that pool.
That's my concern.
I guess
So-
I need documentation to show that. I don't know. I know there
And
were a
I
lot
looked
of
through our minutes and I didn't
conversations.
see in our minutes where
She came with that proposal and we used the short-term blew it off and said we couldn't do that, so the 8% was hers. And I think the discussion went from there to what is she gonna do with it? And I think,
Are you talking about it like a year ago?
no, I'm talking about the last couple meetings.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because originally it was going in the town coffers, but she wanted to pay, she wanted extra money for doing that extra work, and she was gonna use that money to pay the other two people in the
That-
town office.
No, I remember
And
all
we
that.
said we couldn't do that, so the only option is right now is that money goes to her, or she can do what she wants with it.
Yeah, and I'm on board with that. I understand how we got to where we are. My question, I think, was similar to yours, Gabby, about when you look retroactively at the fact that we've already paid Ellie, and that was it. I mean, Ellie's done other stuff as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that hasn't been her only
No.
job, so, but that was part of our rationale, and part of our talk about cost savings was that the town would be saving money, we could use that money into, in fact, employ her, and it just suddenly, it gets a little trickier, that's all.
So perhaps that is an issue for Penny to resolve, that what was passed, but maybe she doesn't compensate Ellie out of this amount because she's already been paid. But she might decide to refigure her hours going forward or something like that.
I
and
think in FY16, I have no problems with any of that, we can work that out, it's the FY15.
and I had looked back on all of the minutes to see if what was agreed upon, and there wasn't a clear. I couldn't find anything to support. I hear
I looked through 'em
everyone
too,
say
remember
very
that?
consistent
We all
stuff,
did.
but I don't have any documentation.
And Ellie insisted on a job description, but there's no record in our meeting of us saying we all approved this job description, so it was,
She didn't work for us.
right, you're right, thank you, okay. Yeah, she doesn't work for us, she worked for Penny, so maybe we didn't have to approve it. So is there a way to pull this apart? Is there a motion on the table to?
There's no motion, I read a motion that I would be looking for.
But so what I'm wondering is there a way to pull this apart and deal with it by separate fiscal years? Does that make sense, because one's easier than the other? Or does it not?
So the motion is not to direct Penny what to do with the money, it is to pay her the money.
Yes.
And I think we have to leave it up to her to deal with it as she sees fit. And I'm pretty sure that she'll be fair about it.
Mhm.
So is there a motion?
I would make the motion that that you read.
As read? Is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. For new business, we have the issue of the select board rules of procedure adopting this policy.
And this looked like pretty much VLCT boilerplate.
It's pretty much boilerplate.
Pretty much the same stuff has been brought to the board several times in the past years, we just never adopted it.
I move we adopt it.
And actually, one of the things I thought, I said, Dummerston Select Board, and they said they haven't adopted it either, but they may.
I read it over, I found nothing
Yeah, there's a
stuck
couple-
in my craw.
Does it,
I
does it
wanted
look
to
good?
thank both Katie and Gabby for doing the preliminary work on pulling this together. Anybody have any questions about any aspect of this? I think it's pretty,
As I
A,
said,
it's boilerplate, B, it's common sense. I think we should post this for, maybe on the town website.
as we should all of our
As we do
policies
all
and
of them, but
procedures as we get
A little bit
them.
separately, because this will be a little bit different for some members of the public coming in to understand that you need to get your agenda items to Katie by Wednesday afternoon.
And does that include board members? I was
It is
interested in
the
seeing the
board
Wednesday
members
before.
and
I
the
always thought it
public.
was the Thursday before.
We say Wednesday at 5, then Katie works on it on Thursday, and we get it out Thursday.
Okay.
Right.
I think
Um,
that's been a recommendation from the league for years, to
Yeah.
get that in early and get it
Mhm,
done, yes,
mhm.
yes.
Okay.
And, you know, we won't add items to the agenda unless they have to be acted on that night.
Right.
They can't be warned in the future so that people are clearly warned.
Well, I'd make a motion to, go ahead, read it. I jumped right in.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt the Guilford Selectboard Rules of Procedure.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Fiscal year 17 budgets, general and then highway fund.
I have 2 questions on the general.
So, one second, please. I have my copy too. Let's get them out there first.
Could you? Second that?
Of course.
You're not gonna put it in the phone and read it every night?
Any questions or comments about the budget that has been worked on up and down over the last 6 weeks?
So are you talking about both
The
general and
fund
highway?
first. I think
General
we
fund
should start with
first.
the general.
Okay.
I have 2 questions. I didn't respond to your email about the cruiser, because I don't do emails, because I figured that someday we're gonna get caught with a brushy down, because something's gonna happen, and somebody's gonna wanna see them all, and bang, bang, bang. So I don't respond, but my response would have been, yes, keep the money in there for the cruiser. How many responded?
4.
4, yeah, okay. Okay, my other question is, the money for the recreation club, I thought we just decided to leave that up to the people before we put it in.
It's on the warning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on the warning. We're not putting it on.
It's already in the budget though.
But I think we have to do that with all the human service stuff, and then, but it's.
Well, if it's a Guilford commission, if we make it the commission and the money's appointed, it's no different than that invasive species article that we had, that
But
they
it's
all,
a recreation club, right?
no.
We're gonna talk about the
Yeah.
a possible recreation commission in a bit. It was some of the documents that were circulated for this thing. But I think the understanding was that we put the $4,000 in there so that it is budgeted if it is passed by the town.
But it won't be like double budgeted. In other words, it's not a given, the money's not in there. It's good, that absolutely goes before the voters.
We would have to, your budget would be amended on the floor.
Well, actually, it wouldn't. You vote this article,
The yea or nay on the article.
Yay.
not to
Right.
do it.
so you vote the general fund less all of the other
Yeah,
items in question.
Like the fire
And you
department,
get to
the,
it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah.
what your budget will look like if everything is fully funded. So if things are voted down on town meeting day, I go back in and I take them out.
okay.
And you-
however, they can change that amount.
They can, yep, they
And
can
in
go
fact,
up
up
if
or
they
down,
want.
either
They
Yeah,
can go up or
exactly.
down, or they can yank it out.
Yeah.
So, any other questions or comments on the general fund budget? And then the other is the highway fund. And I didn't know if anybody wanted to talk about anything after all of our conversations about that.
Well,
I'm glad we're adding the 5th guy back in. I think it's overdue.
I just wanted to add, Dan's, you keeping up with the snow plowing?
Oh, we're straight up straight. It's the water freezing on the roads, coming up out of the ground, Richard. There's springs popping up all over the place.
Any more discussion? So,
I don't think there's a problem with
I think
it. I hope
Katie-
everyone just understands what we have to do.
we did a really good job with Katie working on this in, a month? 6 weeks?
Yeah, and I want to commend the board because you guys dug in and you tackled some pretty hard stuff. You
Well-
made some hard decisions, and that's not easy.
And I think most years, just for Gabby and Sheila who are new, we, you know, it's an earlier process, so this, we were under the wire, and I think people all did their best. It was hard.
Yeah. Next year we won't be doing this at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, I think I would like to entertain a motion to accept the budgets as presented for the warrant.
I would like to make that motion.
Thank you. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Any opposed? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
Warning.
Town coverage for Medicare
No,
premiums?
the warning.
No, warning.
The
Oh,
warning.
the warning,
Yeah.
the meeting warning.
Yeah.
Okay, did everyone have a chance to read it?
We did.
Did they, was it, we reorganized a couple.
Oh, okay, I've got the draft that
Yep.
was whenever it was.
Nothing changed substantive.
Okay, just the order?
Yeah, just the
No
order
words,
changed.
yeah.
No words, just the order.
Okay.
Yep,
So everybody's
but the content is all the
exactly
same.
the same.
Mhm.
So is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the town meeting warning for this year.
Is
We're
there-
second.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then I'll take it to Penny who will certify it.
And then she'll bring copies to.
And then the next new item on the agenda is the 2016 Certificate of Highway Mileage, which I don't have.
No, no, you got ahead of yourself
Oh, the
again.
Medicare premiums. I'm so ready to go watch a football game.
There's no
We just,
proposal.
we just okayed the rules of procedure. What you done?
I better check these things off. Sorry. Medicare premiums, okay. So we have our first 65-year-old employee signing up for Medicare. And,
No, she said
This
first.
is
I think I beat him.
no,
He
employee.
turned 65.
Were you an employee?
No, but still beat him at 65.
And at this age, you're obligated to sign up for Medicare. We are we are proposing to pay, while these people are still in our employment, the Medicare premium in lieu of healthcare benefits. And so, in fact, the town saves a fair amount of money. And we just wanted to confirm that and share that news with Alan Belleville, who is turning 65, or has just.
I make a motion to approve this. I thought this was well-written. It'll cover other people as well as Alan as they move in this direction.
And how much of a, it was almost, how much, Katie?
Actually, it would be great if everybody in town that's an employee could go on Medicare because it's a lot cheaper.
We only got a few more months, there's 2 more that will be.
I know.
It's how much?
Second one.
No.
No,
Just
Pete.
Pete, yeah.
And then,
Yeah, well, there's P and then there's.
Dan ain't retiring.
Sheila?
So,
Just a quick point of order.
I'm sorry, Steve, I can't see you
I
behind Dick.
understand. So, you said, this says over 65. Is it over the age of 65, or did he just turn 65?
At the age of 65.
Okay, this just
Yes.
says employees over the age of 65, which actually goes along with 66 being Medicare and things like that. So I'm just making certain that it's clear that it's somebody who's 65 or over 65.
Right. That's a
Yes.
good distinction, because it isn't over 65.
I
Thank
don't-
you, at.
At 65.
Okay.
And in fact, it says, it's misstated in this thing where it says over the age of 65, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we all, and
In
Ann
the
and
next
I know
paragraph,
about
it
this.
says at, but
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve that?
I would make that motion. As I was saying, I think it's a good policy. It saves the town money, but it doesn't penalize the employee.
While they're still working on this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there a second?
second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
None.
We have for discussion items, the Green River Covered Bridge.
Your certificate of mileage.
You really are being consistently one ahead.
Ruined this house
Okay,
tonight.
certificate of highway mileage, yeah.
Okay.
Did you get up too early this
I
morning?
think maybe.
There's no changes. I checked with Danny to see if there was any changes to the certificate of highway mileage and everything's the
No,
same. Yep.
No changes this year.
I don't know.
We didn't lose any.
Have there been?
Well, there should be.
Because of the work
The
that
trails?
the commission did, the
Conservation.
Conservation
Wasn't
Commission,
that
that was,
done last year?
I think that was last year.
It
What
was.
Linda was,
Conservation Commission took some roads out of the mileage, I thought, because they were ancient roads turned to trails
Yeah.
or something else. And there was a whole, I mean, this is just from sitting at the dining room table. that I'm
Right.
So don't take this as gospel, but I think there were a few months, not a lot, but some.
Yeah,
miles
they're here, though.
suggested.
I think that was done to be included in last year's highway mileage
that's what I
certificate.
thought
That was
too.
my
I
understanding.
remember it,
Just in reading minutes.
but I think it was it was during the last time we approved highway mileage. I think it got in for the last
There's,
one. What's the mileage? What is the mileage?
77.483 of 77.483 miles of class 3.
But haven't we
Two.
always had 77?
Yeah, yeah.
And if the commission dumped some roads off, or others came back in?
But it would have been class 4s going from class 4 to trails, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it wouldn't
Okay,
affect,
So
fine.
that wouldn't
Yeah.
affect our.
it wouldn't
lives.
really matter, I mean, it does matter, but in terms of our age, it
8.9
doesn't.
of class 4 and 4.05 of legal trails.
Okay,
So-
okay.
So it has gone up. It's on here as class 4 and trails,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage.
And have the select board chair sign it.
Well,
Is there a
actually, I
second?
think you all signed.
We all have to sign
I
it?
think so.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is it okay if I give it to Gabby this time? Because she's been left out.
All in
Beat-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
are you in favor?
Of
The
Sir.
certificate of highway mileage.
yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about the Green River Covered Bridge Rehabilitation Project now?
Yes,
Is it?
yeah, that's the right one.
I'll just sort of read this preliminary schedule. So February 8th, contractor bids are due back for construction, and also construction inspection and services for our resident engineer proposals are due on that same date. February 22nd, the idea is to award the contractor bid for construction and for construction inspection services. May 23rd, the contractor may begin work at the site. From June 20th through August 26th, the bridge will be allowed to be closed to traffic. During this time, the contractor shall complete all major items that require bridge closure. August 26th to September 30th, 2016, all remaining work items that can be completed after the bridge, is open to traffic shall be completed with the project completing by September 30th. A selection committee was formed for the purpose of reviewing contractor bids and the proposals that we received for construction inspection services. The committee includes Sheila, Gabby, Michael Knapp, Addison Minot, Ron Lanker, Dan, myself, and Matt Mann will work with the committee to help them reach a conclusion and a recommendation for the board, with hopefully the award coming during your meeting on the 22nd.
So I'm confused. Did that say closure from June 20-something to August 20-something?
It's allowed to be closed.
Allowed
But
to
I had
close.
thought we had talked about that they may need to close it before that. If that's,
We
if not
thought-
the case,
we-
that's great.
We had thought that if we had to close it early June.
Yeah,
that would
but
be-
this says they can't do that early June?
It's the window of time is
After
June
school.
20th to August 26th.
And
Last
they
day of
think,
June
and
is
and
the
they think
7th.
they'll,
I mean,
that'll
that's-
be enough, the contractors?
That's what they're gonna bid on,
Oh, good.
that schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha,
Can
yeah.
you email me a copy of that, just so I can?
This schedule,
Yeah.
you bet.
And
And I'm gonna post it on the
I don't
website.
know if they're gonna have to close it all the time anyway.
Yeah, well, that would be good.
I mean, while they're working.
Well, on
you
the
know,
roof, for example, they,
Yeah.
School's out on the 17th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And of course, we haven't used any snow days.
You better knock on wood,
yeah.
you don't want to jinx.
I don't want it to. I'm not gonna-
So the bids have gone out, they'll come back when? February 8th?
February 8th.
Okay, thank you. And then
Actually,
we,
For both,
Actually,
for
we
both.
think it's gonna be a couple days early, right, because February 8th is.
That's when the.
February
Yeah.
8th is the select board.
Turns out it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had a pre-bid conference on last,
Friday.
Friday,
was it? Or
Friday?
Thursday?
Thursday.
Did you
Um,
say when you would open them? The
Yeah.
bid?
During the meeting,
Yeah.
on the 8th.
During the meeting that
Yeah.
night?
Mhm.
Okay.
So can I ask a question then during
Sure.
our meeting?
Sure.
I thought the selection committee would be looking
So
at,
you'll just open the bids.
okay,
So you'll be able to see who the apparent low bidder is from
Okay.
just opening the bids, and then the selection committee will work and
Okay, thanks.
we'll come up with a matrix for
Good.
scoring all of the
Okay.
bids and
Steve?
proposals.
So unless there's a modification of the bid because of the bids that are returned or some other circumstance, no work on the bridge will be done while school is in session. I'm short of snow days.
Yeah, what I just read was taken right from the bid,
Right, so-
invitation to bid.
Because it was
I read
May
it verbatim.
23rd at a meeting.
It was May
a while ago.
23rd, and so
well,
I'm thrilled if they
So
could do
That makes a big
that.
difference.
Yeah, so they can mobilize and start to work on site, but they can't close the bridge
So
until.
that's a big plus, I
Yeah.
think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They can
That's
set the
good.
sign package up
Yeah.
and do what
Yeah.
they ever.
They'll do
what
all
they
their
gotta do.
staging if they find a location to put materials and equipment, if they can work with maybe a private landowner to do that. So they can do all that stuff.
So essentially, once we look at the bids and then send it to the steering committee, the committee is the one that's gonna pick the bids.
Recommend.
Recommend.
Yeah.
And then it has to come back to us.
Then
To
it'll
the
come back
select
to
guys
us.
are
board.
making
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in other words, that'd be cut in stone
on the
on that.
22nd.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And we had at that.
So we'll have plenty of time to get it out to the townspeople and stuff
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And we had at the pre-bid meeting last Thursday, 4 contractors, four different potential contractors.
And it wasn't a mandatory meeting, so
Yeah,
there
so-
could be more bidders, but 4 was, I was
A good number to
Can
show
I
up.
ask who was here?
There was Alpine Construction, Renard's,
Daniel,
Daniels and Wright. Yeah.
Any questions, any more discussion? We had proposed last time to have a discussion about the creation of a recreation commission. And Katie did some research, and sent around some background information, for us to read and to discuss. I will say that Lisa Ford was at the planning commission meeting on Thursday and presented the petition and the whole effort of this group of people around the recreation commission to the planning commission, just because they'd been to the select board, they'd been to the school board twice, and they just wanted to make sure the planning commission was on board with it, and aware of what was going on. And she was just there to share information with the planning commission. What Katie did was provide us some background information on what the select board handbook says about creating a recreation commission, and also extract from the recreation section of the approved 2015 town plan the goals and policies and some actions that we can take into consideration as we are thinking about whether or not we want to do this. I would like to know if people had a chance to review this and if you have had any thoughts about it.
The one thing that I'm not clear about in my own mind is in terms of putting the cart before the horse or whatever, is the idea of reinvigorating, whatever the word be, getting back the recreation club, is that sort of off the table? I know they had done some work on that. And in a way, I like the idea of a commission better, but except where this is talking about the commission, this doesn't say anything about a paid, well, it does, that was a question, paid coordinator. This would be about a commission. There's no implication that there's going to be a staff person working
No,
for this
right.
in there, and that I was glad to see.
And yes, that's one of the questions.
Mhm.
I don't know about reinvigorating the recreation. I mean, it was the part of the town plan was to say, we have a recreation club, we should work with the club or with members of the community to do something to bring it back to life. Whether it needs to be the club
Or a commission.
or a commission is, I think, a good question for debate. I think, sorry, Gabby.
Oh, no, continue. I just think that if there's momentum to sort of either reinvigorate a club or, quite frankly, have a commission, then I think my thought is the town plan, it's a suggestion within the town plan. We want to, in my opinion, it's something easily acted upon by the select board, is to create this recreation commission. And the commission can, then have some accountability, because that seemed to be an issue with, or a concern of the people who were coming to the select board, that there was no accountability. And in this way, we'll have accountability of the funds, or, if they try to have a situation where they're collecting fees, will be included on that information. And I think if it's part of the town plan, why not?
Can I ask a
yeah.
question that's, as I read through this, it seems like there's a lot of overlap with the Conservation Commission.
So we
And-
actually, I have amended a little bit the actions for that, in recognition of that. But,
I mean, that Conservation Commission is amazing, all the
Yeah.
stuff that they do and the things that they offer. It's remarkable to me, but.
And I,
Sorry.
No,
You
I was
didn't have-
scratching my head.
Oh, no, I thought you were.
One thing I like about this commission, the way this is written, is that it is not, it would not be in charge of sports for 5 through 12-year-olds. That seems like that would be under the school auspices, which is where I think it should be. But it says something about it, right? That you might coordinate with the, I don't know.
So
Is that
There's-
really long, or can you read what?
I can,
It's-
I can,
Print it out. Did you have a copy
so
of it?
in the
I-
town
Do you
plan,
want, I can read it if you want me to read it. It's an excerpt from the 2015 town plan.
And this is what you want to make the this
And it,
commission.
yeah, it sort of spells out exactly. It says, upon recommendation of the Guilford Planning Commission per the 2015 town plan, the Guilford Selectboard will create a recreation commission to plan for and inventory safe byways, publicize recreational resources, and monitor the impact of current and future recreation facilities and activities on land value and usage.
Wait, so where are you reading?
I'm just
that's
reading
under
the
action.
action.
Thank you.
It's an action
Okay.
of the town plan.
It says specifically, the Recreation Commission will explore the possibility of using state aid and/or private funds for the development and maintenance of recreational trails in the town, seek funds for planning for and construction of a system of paths along our roads to provide for the safety of pedestrians, horseback riders, and bicyclists, seek funds to identify and acquire easements for a system of recreational trails for hiking, cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, horseback riding, and bicycling, support the efforts of residents to preserve recreational facilities on private lands such as Green River Dam, a structure of considerable recreational and historic value to the town, be responsive to private landowner concerns about property rights and liabilities of opening up their property for recreational purposes, encourage townwide recreation events, example, foot and snowshoe races, bicycle rides, walks, and hikes, and coordinate these efforts with other town groups. That's
Katie,
taken
could you read the
exactly.
Green River part again? Just-
Support the efforts of residents to preserve recreational facilities on private land such as the Green River Dam, a structure of considerable recreational and historic value to the town.
Do you think there's a reason to be specific with the Green River area? I mean, just because it's got a lot of, it's national trust, it's national historic site, all the rest of it. Do you think,
this is in a town plan.
I just read it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
exactly
the
what's written in the town plan.
And I think it's actually a carryover from the 2010, 2015 town plan, that particular line item.
but I just offer that if this is to create a commission, it's not just to take it, you as a board, you don't have to take
Yeah.
boilerplate out of that just because it was written
Exactly.
there. I'm just saying, because it's the only thing that's specifically mentioned, it just seems like it.
It should, if it's gonna say Green River Dam, it could include the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It include the
I think you
Whitmore
should
Park,
just
which is
either
owned.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of one
Yeah.
example or put
Yeah,
them all
just
in.
not make
Just
it
so that
generic.
it's an example and not the example.
Dick?
Some of my concerns are, for years, I have done 4th of July events and trying to get the school children or anything from the school. Once school is out, they're gone. So we're gonna invest in this recreation commission for the school year, because I don't think during the summer. And it bothers me considerably that not once in their presentations have they mentioned doing a fundraiser. We want money from the town, we don't wanna. And that would be, if I was trying to do something like that, the first thing I would do would say, I'm gonna have a fundraiser.
So I
and
think
go
there,
from there.
I think that,
And I'm not against this, you
Yeah.
understand, but I'm just bringing up.
And I think there are a couple things, because there's the issue which, I mean, we talked about trying to join forces with the school board in seeding, you know, doing 1 year of seed money so that they could get off the ground the idea of a recreation director. But they're focusing primarily to be school-aged children.
School-age, yeah.
What
And
I
this
like about
doesn't.
this is that this is not directed at school-age children specifically, and the idea of a recreation commission that would operate hopefully in tandem with the conservation commission and be geared towards the whole town. I think there's stuff about that that's appealing, but I share your concerns
Yeah.
about, I don't want it to be just a school year and just a school-age focus.
Where does the seek funds come from? I mean, what is that?
Fundraisers.
Grants,
So it doesn't
grants.
necessarily seek funds from,
Or
from
grants,
the
yeah.
town?
No,
No.
specifically not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
for example, Dolores, one of the big things what we brought up was when the rec club, as when Danny was part of that, I remember 20-something years ago, I used to get a letter from them every year asking for a donation.
$5, I think it was.
It was
Yeah.
$5, it
It
was
was so
dues.
easy.
We did the same thing when we raised the $52,000, well, when I say we, the 8 families and the people of the town that gave money raised the $52,000 for the playground at the school, the new playground. We wrote letters to all the taxpayers, trying, in lieu of taxes.
And the other thing I think that we talked about that, again, the school age program could do is you could say, if you want your children to play, why don't you can pay a very reasonable amount.
That's,
Well,
So that they could then generate their own money. But
So I
that's
think what we-
that's
this is
that
like
other thing.
A little bit farther down the road,
Yeah.
if we create a commission,
So does it
Then-
make sense for us to create a commission, forget about the 4,000 one way or another, that it's really not, it's separate?
Right, because that'll be that's warned question town
Yeah.
meeting.
yeah.
So we can create the commission and then decide, you know, the town can decide, and maybe on the floor they say, we'll give you $500, the rest you have to decide to fundraise or do grants, like the Conservation Commission,
right.
you know, or the Planning Commission.
whoever is named to this commission would have a lot of work to do to figure out how they're gonna use, if they are gonna receive funds, how they're gonna use it, how they're gonna be accountable for it, how they're gonna get their message out. So there's a lot of work to be done in setting this program up and I think actually Wendy and Eric have made it really clear that they don't wanna take that on, so we would have to find 5 or 7 people who would be willing to serve.
And this would
as
be
members.
before town meeting?
So yeah, the question is, do we need to do it before town meeting or should we do it after?
I think you could
do it after.
publicize it during
Publicize.
town meeting and ask people if they
Yeah.
want to be, if they're
Before and
interested to
after,
let, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess can I ask the question, whether or not the money gets voted on town meeting day, or do you still want a commission?
I think so. I mean, as it's
Is there
defined,
general
I would
consensus
feel
by the board?
comfortable with it.
I've sat through a few of these, and as a town member, I think this is a good move. I think that creating a recreation commission is the result of the discussions that Eric and Wendy brought, not necessarily
And the
related,
explorations.
not necessarily directly related to what they want to do. So I would say that the money that's being asked in a warning to the town is for the seed money, in collaboration with the school's 4,000 and the town's 4,000. To be voted for that seed money for the first year to see how that works out, primarily directed at the school children. And I think what you're creating here is something that you as a board have realized used to be in place, successfully in place, and probably should be in place again, not necessarily directly tied to what they have brought before you, unless I'm missing something.
I don't think it used to be in place. I don't think the town has ever had a recreation
I'm
commission.
sorry,
They had the
you know
club.
that the rec
Yeah,
club used to work successfully.
and was quite active.
Emulating that, or at least
Yeah.
not trying to replicate, but to focus on it, it would seem like a good idea to be doing this. But I think it's totally separate from what Eric
Yeah, I
and
agree.
Wendy brought up.
You're
And I
right.
also want to add that the school also had a successful athletic program run for
Right.
years with a lot of local fundraising. It had an athletic director who wasn't paid a lot of money, and the parents got together and did a ton of fundraising for
I
school
might add one
sports.
other thing, not to do it before town meeting, because I think, and not to speak for Alice, but she sat right here, and that money that was being dispersed, 4,000 from the school and potentially 4,000 from the town, I think she felt more comfortable that that dispersal of funds would come through the school, rather than, so to creating a commission sort of ahead of that, just puts a burden on you to start with that first 4,000 or 8,000, and I don't think that's what you're trying to do at this point.
No, in fact, I see the commission is totally separate from the whole money question, so.
Dick?
I don't think there's enough folks in town, to use that term, though it's maybe a stretch, but to create a commission that is gonna have these events year-round. It might be a good first step to check with other towns, surrounding towns, Leiden, Chesterfield, Hinsdale, Halifax, and to see if they have some sort of a program so we could, you know.
But I think maybe that would be something that the commission could look into.
I mean, if we created the commission, they could start slowly.
It would have a big effect
Yeah.
on whether, you know, yeah, we can go to Halifax next week and
Vernon?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's the way it used to be with the recreation club.
yeah.
And they can also dovetail
That's a
with
good
the Conservation Commission and the newly formed sort of Trails Commission that they're trying to start. So I think it might be actually the Recreation Commission could dovetail nicely and work with and learn from that commission. I have one other thing to say.
Yes.
I think I sort of disagree with the fact that this $4,000 for the Guilford Sports Committee or whatnot has to do only with subsidizing what happens at the school. And I think that's something that I was trying to tease out when the petitioners were here. And I disagree because I think if there's like sort of town money, and the back of the back of the petition actually had the town plan for the Recreation Commission. So I think we need to, you know, I might disagree with you as far as the interpretation of what that petition was for when they come up here and stand up and say, no, actually it's for everyone. And that, to me, should be how town money is used, for really for everyone.
This is the back of the petition if you wanted to reference it at all.
Oh.
Just,
So the question in my mind then, is this the time, should we create, you did research on the creation of a commission, do we have language, are people comfortable creating one at this point? Do we want to wait and see what's.
I would like to wait and see what happens at town meeting day.
I would like to I think we have the momentum. I think it's a good commission for the town to have, you know, and I think if the petitioners are standing up saying, I got all of these signatures, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
But then say, oh, but we can't find anyone to work on a commission, there's something
Well,
not
that's
adding
true.
up.
That would,
Yeah.
that would be a
That's my
reason.
personal opinion.
And I have another concern about this, which is that they are continuing to represent this as money to hire a part-time coordinator, recreation coordinator, not money to fund, to support recreational activities. And I don't think we're ready to do that, and I think that we can sidestep that by creating the commission in advance. I also think we need one, if we take upon the recommendation, that paragraph, I think we would need to state the overarching goal of this commission will be to promote and facilitate recreational activities for the residents of the town. To this end, the Recreation Commission, together with the Conservation Commission and other town bodies and residents, will plan for and inventory safe byways. I think it's a little more specific, it has a clear goal, and it doesn't refer to hiring anybody.
And I mean, just to reiterate, the back of this petition says that, in addition to young athletic programs, the committee would perform research of community needs and develop year-round recreational opportunities for Guilford residents of all ages. It goes on to talk about build and mark and map Guilford trails, for example, and it goes on to talk about it would enhance other targeted issues identified by the Guilford Rural Development Plan, such as improve the quality of life for seniors, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that,
That's the back of the
that's the back of the petition where, you know,
It
so.
also says they would operate on a fee-for-service model, and
Exactly.
they can't do that unless it's an enterprise, they become an
It's an
enterprise.
organization. It needs-
Well, it'll be a
I mean,
town
we would have
department.
to iron those things
Yeah.
out.
Right, which is the point of creating a commission now, if they want to really get this started, to give us a proposal about how to actually viably use money.
Dan, how many years ago did we have the Green River League?
Oh, God, that was
20 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say back in the 80s.
The Green River League was a little league ball team set up that local businesses supported it. Actually, Boise Cascade, which I worked for, that's how far long ago it was. The Boise Cascade supported one of the clubs for kids that weren't quite up to par to play in the Brattleboro Little League. And I think there were 6 or 7 teams of kids. And that was, after that recreation club just went downhill. Well, I mean, that was something that, they weren't just Guilford kids, they're from all over.
And that was probably at a time when there were 250 kids
Yeah,
in
a lot.
Guilford School
Yeah,
and not
exactly,
just,
yeah.
there's
900.
just not that many kids
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
to field teams.
Can I ask one other question? Because I agree with what you're saying, Gabby. I think what they are really asking for is money to fund a part-time position,
Yes.
although that's not exactly what they say there.
Yeah, does it actually say that?
No.
It says what Gabby
Well,
just read. right?
Actually, it
It
says at the very top of the petition, which is not the article, it says, "The proposal is to create a Guilford Sports and Recreation Committee consisting of a part-time coordinator
Oh, okay.
reporting to a volunteer
Okay.
board. The purpose of the committee will be to organize and administer youth athletic programs ages 5 to 12 and to develop and manage year-round recreational opportunities for Guilford residents of all ages."
So that's
And
what
then it
85
launches.
people have signed.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think in that regard, when they talk about the volunteer commission, if we use those words interchangeably, which I guess we can, we could vote to create the commission right now as the volunteer commission, much like all the other ones in town. And I liked your idea that we would encourage them to work with the other commissions so there's not overlap. And it also will give us, you know, if we create it and nobody wants to be on it, that's gonna give us some powerful information. So
So maybe Katie and I should do a little more work on
the language.
drafting the
Yeah.
language and having another meeting with Lisa and Eric and
I'm not sure you
Wendy
need
and-
another,
I think-
I mean, I'm
can
not sure, if
invite
you
them.
want them to have another meeting, I think it gets
Yeah,
muddier.
They put in a lot of effort.
Oh, I
They really
agree.
are, you know, pushing this thing forward, so I think we want to acknowledge
The
them.
only reason I would like, I don't even know if you need another meeting, I just would like all of us to see that exact language in front of us
Yeah,
before the meeting and then vote on the creation of the commission.
so
But
we
may,
can,
but maybe in
sorry.
the meantime, I mean, did you outright ask the people who started this petition whether they would sit on a commission? I mean,
in 2 meetings, they've sort of said, we're done, we don't have the capacity to do this. So, but we haven't
but
asked
we
them
can ask
specifically,
Do they
you know.
not have the capacity to do it individually themselves, or do they, if they were
So
part
we
of?
need
That's my
to-
sense,
we
I
need to
didn't think
talk to
anybody
them.
wanted to be a volunteer
To ask
athletic
them.
director,
Yeah.
but, so let's table this.
Yeah.
Or at least, we're not tabling this, we've just had a discussion, but let's look at language for the creation of a recreation commission in our
Right.
next meeting, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I can have that.
Thank you.
Something to go for them.
Yeah. Is there any other items for discussion or updates?
we can't add anything
No, we can't, but,
according to our policy.
I think this was brought up before, but about the software, we had a town office being a little bit shaky from Ron. Like, remember the letter he sent?
right.
I think you read that letter.
That was last meeting?
No, that was
No,
just,
you know
just,
something? I think that we have a draft response, and I don't know that if we ever,
I sent it around to the board.
yeah,
To Ron's concerns?
to
yeah.
address.
It was-
I didn't see that,
Yeah.
or if I saw it, I forgot.
I know you drafted it, I just don't remember if it
He
was ever.
he sent us all
Yeah,
a
he did,
letter
yeah.
thanking us,
Yeah.
and on that
Yeah.
letter, there's a software version. The town uses for accounting function, does not have an audit trail function.
But you're not
That-
reading-
That I responded to
Responded
that?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it around maybe 2 weeks ago.
I think you
Okay.
did, yeah. I know you
Yeah.
did, yeah.
So do we need to move on it to
I-
sign it, or do you just
I
send?
just
No.
answered questions that were in there and told
Yeah.
you
I
what we
just,
do have.
just ran across it, and I remember,
Yeah.
couldn't remember the letter. I
Do you want me to
remember
Maybe
if I
Katie
read it
can give
I'll
you a
print
copy.
that
or not. Yeah,
and put it in your box.
Okay.
Steve?
Could I just ask the town board to there was a recent article about floodplain administration in Newfane that involved the floodplain, the regulations, FEMA, floodplain administrator, the select board, the residents, everything else. It's a synopsis of sort of what can happen if nothing happens. So I'm going to raise that. I'll send a copy to each of you so you have a copy to read, but I think at some point we should probably have I'll just append some things that I've learned from that to it, just so you know, but it's a good composite of what can happen if things don't happen systematically.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dombrowski, highway update?
I just come over to see if anybody had any questions or whatever.
You know, something that's never been considered, and I'm not suggesting it, is, you know, who would have thought about calcium chloride in the winter? It's so dusty.
You're asking for trouble.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting, I'm just noticing how dusty it is.
It's very dusty.
Yeah,
In some places, the ice is so hard that
yeah,
I've been mixing salt with the sand and it don't even.
yeah, yeah.
You think complain because it's dusty in the summer, you complain because it's dusty in the winter.
So, anything else?
No, that's about it. Just come over to see if anybody had any questions
you.
or whatever I could answer.
So we also have on the agenda to accept the bid proposal for replacing the deck on Bridge 64 on Hale Road.
You skip the excess waste permit.
Excess weight.
I'm at highway update, accept bid proposal.
You
It's-
need
you
a
have
new
it-
agenda.
yeah.
You have an-
All right, so this time I can be
You
excused.
can be excused. This one sort of got added to my desk, so, it's an excess weight permit for Newport Sand and Gravel Standard. Usual exceptions, no travel on gravel roads during mud season, no travel at all through the Green River Covered Bridge.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
And you get to sign that
I
one.
will.
That's an easy one.
Now can I talk about Bridge 64?
Sure.
So we did
Maybe I'm gonna-
publish the request for proposals. We got one bid. Katie sent it around. It is the document from Renaud Brothers. And
Saw it.
I think I'll be seeking a motion to accept a proposal for replacing the deck on Hale Road Bridge number
I
64.
move we accept the proposal for Hale Road, Bridge 64 on Hale Road and from Renaud Brothers and have them go at it.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I also would like.
Any opposed?
We're gonna have a little discussion.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How are we going to do this? One lump sum or are we going to divide it into two?
This is lump sum price.
Yeah, you
It
read
is,
on.
But
it is a
Yeah.
lump sum price, but he is willing to negotiate.
No.
What do you
Do we
feel,
need to
Dan?
decide that now?
That's,
So if we get the money, it's,
if we got the money,
or if you wanna take that's why I left that 60,000 in there, we can do 2 payments.
I mean, what I liked is that we could accept this but retain the flexibility, as I
Yeah,
understand it,
I
to
think-
decide.
Yep.
And that's what I was just gonna say. I really appreciate the way he's written this
Yeah.
proposal.
Yeah.
how about you just say payment schedule to be determined?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
you wanna amend your motion?
No,
No,
I
because
move we
he's
accept the
accepting
proposal.
the proposal.
Because
Oh, you
it's the
just accept it,
flexibility.
okay.
Yeah.
And this other part they can handle with
Deny.
later.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you, Danny, for getting him out there, getting looking at it early and working with him on that.
I'm not saying nothing. Gabby's being left
Are
out.
we at one? Yeah.
Thanks, Troy. I make the motion to pay the following warrants. Payroll, the week ending January 17th, 2016, in the amount of $5,691.32. Payroll for the week ending in January 24th, 2016, in the amount of $4,902.20. Expense warrant number 1614 in the amount of $18,692.69. And expense warrant number 14DP in the amount of $48.50 for a grand total of $29,334.71.
You do that second better than Troy.
Is there a second?
Second. I said separately. Where you at?
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Communications.
Okay, there was a letter, from Dunham Raleigh, the head lay leader for Guilford Community Church. to both Ron and the select board indicating that they thank the town for the bus. Would you like me to just read it?
Yes.
Okay. It has come to our attention that the town bus is no longer inspectable without major repairs. We received a copy of an estimate from DJs with a cost of $5,000 plus. Upon discussion with DJs, their opinion is that the bus is not really worth the expense of fixing it. We discussed the situation at our council meeting on 1/14/2016 and have decided we cannot spend the funds necessary to fix, nor are we interested in purchasing the vehicle from the town. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Guilford Community Church to thank the town for allowing us to use the vehicle for the church-related transportation. The handicap access door and lift were especially useful to transport individuals with wheelchairs and walkers who cannot use the stairs or get in and out of the vehicle and otherwise would not have been able to get to and from the church. Sincerely, Dunham Valley.
So, apropos, had a quick meeting with Ron Lankard this morning, and he said he thinks that van has the most value as scrap metal to the town.
Huh.
So,
What would they take for it?
he didn't say.
Scrap metal prices have gone back down, haven't
Yeah.
they?
It's $25 a ton now.
Oh, I
What would
wouldn't,
who take for
I
it?
wasn't thinking of scrap
Scrap
metal.
metal people. Oh, what would, who take for it?
I wasn't thinking of it as scrap metal.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of, as a public vehicle, the restriction on it is so much heavier than it would be if a private individual had it. And I know some of the stuff that's wrong that possibly could be fixed up to satisfy the private use.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, we could just put
You
it on Craigslist or eBay or something and see if anybody wants to take it as is.
Having a sister that's wheelchair bound in Pine Heights, and that being wheelchair accessible,
You wanna buy it?
well, that's,
25.
We can, you
I
can
mean, I
sell
think
it.
that's a really good point, that it
Yes.
might be of value to an individual, whereas it
Yes.
is not to
I
us,
mean,
yeah.
it's up to the select board to decide what to do with the bus. You need to decide as a body how to dispose of it in whatever way you choose to do it, whether it's scrapped, whether it's to sell it.
yeah.
So,
Well, I like the idea of selling it to somebody who could use it without it being, if it, you know, it's, without it being dangerous, you know, if it's not
Yeah,
dangerous.
no, if it's, I guess right now, it's, like I said, for public transportation, the restrictions are much, much greater than would be for
Right,
private use.
right.
We could just put a notice on Front Porch Forum that it's available if somebody wants to
Make an
make an
offer.
offer on it.
I think that's a great idea.
so,
Yeah.
Ron is gonna put together a list of assets that, need disposition, sort of in the wake of VY, and the bus is on there. I don't know if you wanna wait until that whole asset list
Yeah,
is presented.
let's see what that, yeah.
Okay,
Let's see what that-
rather than, just because it's not a warrant item, it was sort of just a communication.
Don't need your way down there, innit?
There's nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing. I know what you're thinking.
We got a letter from Brattleboro Fire Department about our fire hydrants, just reminding us, they sort of say that they're in Brattleboro, but they're in Guilford, about keeping them cleared in the winter, within 3 feet, blah, blah, blah. We got a letter from Wyndham County Sheriff's Department with their bill, it's the STARS report, I don't know if anybody wants to take a peek at that. And then the last one is the governing January issue, if anybody wants to look at that. And that's it, what do you like?
I move.
That,
I second.
we adjourn the meeting.
Wow.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:30.